Morning everyone, Tony from Hearns. We're now in session 2 of my Yokomo SO off-road build. We got as far as most of the front suspension done last time. We've got a bit more, starting with the rear suspension now. This is my own race car, so I'm going to try and do a half decent job of it at least. Just put that over there. Right. Since the last time, I've gone back, pulled a few things apart because I forgot to put I didn't forget, I realised that I hadn't put threadlock on a lot of the parts, so I've gone back, redone that using the Tamiya anaerobic gel, or strawberry jam as most of us call it. It's good stuff. It holds it without being really difficult to undo. So it's my favourite one to use, but everyone's got their own preference. I also use Loctite temporary one, which I think is Loctite blue. Can't remember. Anyway, onto the rear suspension. This is a scary one. If you see here, these are all the different adjustments that you can get for the rear suspension. You can adjust the toe angle, the anti-squat. There's so many variations that you can do. They're all achieved by these different inserts that go in to the arm blocks. You look at that and you go, oh my God, that's so difficult. You don't need to worry. The default setting is where you should probably start. That's certainly where I start, and we'll be setting the car up as that. It gives you a decent base to start with. You know where you're at. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with that. This is the front arm block. We'll check the direction of it. These are a tight fit. And these are basically 0 degrees. Although I think the actual rear toe is 3 degrees as standard. Put the arms up there. We'll do this one first. And the screws for that are M3x8. We'll check my handy little guide. M3x8 is in bag 1, which are these ones up here. We need 2 of those. And this time, as I go, I'll do the thread lock. A little tip here, you don't really need to wrench hard on these screws. You just need to screw it in till the point where it feels tight. Okay, that's bottomed out now. I just give it maybe an 1/8 of a turn, and that's enough. That's really all you need. The thread lock will do the rest of the job. These are the rear arms. We'll just trim those off. Get yourself a really good pair of side cutters. These are 9 steps ones, which are our in-house brand at Hearns. More than adequate. Put those bits aside. They'll nice clean cut. Now, there's a slight little nib of plastic here and here. I know a lot of people will spend a lot of time filing that and getting everything perfect. I'm not that sort of person. People will go, oh no, you have to do it. I don't think you do. Provided that there's not something in the way that it's going to hit, there's no need to do it. But I get some people like doing that sort of thing and making sure that everything is perfect. You have a look at my cars, they're not perfect, but they're functional, and that's what matters to me. My obsession with getting things perfect is usually only with the paint, which will come later. So we'll set out the rear arms, taking the reference from the picture. It helps, they've got R and L, just in case you need to get it right. Actually, I'm going to go against what I said. I'm just going to trim off a little bit here. It just looks a little bit too wonky even for me. Okay, I knocked something off the table, not sure what it was. There we go, they're the rear arms set out as per the manual. This is the rear arm mount, just working out the orientation of it. Okay, that's good. What I'm going to do now is set this up. Rear hinge pins go in. You'll see there's some shims. These are all, I think, the 1mm. Yeah, these are spacers. 2 on each side. The hinge pin is a nice firm fit in there, so it will stay together while I set all this up. Okay, and that one on. Alright, that's all good. Now the rear arms. Good test. It should fall under its own weight, which it does. Just double checking to make sure I've got them on the right way and not upside down. It wouldn't be the first time and it probably won't be the last. Shims go on next. Okay, that's good. Now, rear bumper. That's not in the plastics I've already got out. I need to find that. That should be in bag 2. Well, Is that it? No. This is where it doesn't help when I'm unfamiliar with this car. That's the front arms. It's not in there, we'll leave that over there. Sorry, it's not really exciting viewing, watching me search through looking for individual components that I haven't found yet. That's not it. Oh, where is this rear bumper? The bumper are included in bag 1, it says. I've already gone through bag 1. That's what I did. What you don't know is I spent a bit of time before I actually started doing this looking through and going, oh yeah, I've got all the bits I need. Yeah, well, I didn't. I missed out on these. Sometimes you just have to go through each bag at a time until you find what you're looking for. That's right, I've already looked at this. This is the front arm set, and there's no bumper in there. That's the rear hubs. Got the rear arms on. This is the rear bumper. 3x10 screws come up from the bottom. The 3x10 refer to the Yokomo listing here. That's in bag 2, which is these. We'll get 2 of these out. I'm just going to put these in temporarily from underneath, so we can then load everything from the top. This is the rear bumper. Which does not want to go on. Okay, we'll just hold this, give this a little bit of a screw just to get it seated. Okay, that's good. Now, make sure you get this oriented correctly, as in, you look at it like that. There we go. That's correct. Put the inserts in. Again, very tight. Get them in. Might have to resort to our special little tool here. That's done. Double check before I go ahead, and that's all good. Yeah, I'm just going to do it this way. Pull those out, in. Insert the pins into the front. There's no right or wrong way to do this, although at the moment if you saw this you'd say, well, I'm doing it the wrong way, but it's just fiddly. And invariably they're going to fall out 5 times, which is what they're doing now. Move that back, put it in there. And I can see already that these washers have fallen off, these spacers. Put them back on. Now I'm going to back this out a bit because I can see that it's actually going to be difficult to put it all together with these bolts up, sitting up there. I'm just going to space that up. Bring that down. Sometimes like this you need 4 hands. because there's too many things to put in. There we go. Now I can push that rear mount forward. And it has to go a little. This is really tight. It's one of the few things that hasn't just like fallen together easily. It has to come, this needs to come far enough forward, this rear mount, to slot in front of the rear bumper. Which it is not doing. That's okay. I don't mind getting this wrong. Like as I've said before, I haven't built one of these cars before, and I'm not familiar with how it goes together. And it looks like it's a better idea to let all this move around a bit. One gone. Whoa! That's better. That was making it all bind. Now it's all nicely together. The rear bumper sits inside the rear mount. A little bit of strawberry jam on these. Don't put them both in, one end at a time. And there we go. That was harder than it should have been. Mainly my fault. That's a good thing about building a new kit, one that you've never done before. There's always things that you find as you're going along, and making mistakes is part of it. And in my case, there's going to be a lot of them. Just checking that these are free. This one isn't great. I'll maybe have another look at that later. It's not binding, it just doesn't fall under its own weight, which is what you actually want. But it's not too bad. So that's that section now done. There's a couple of other bits in this bag, but it says here that they're used on page 19, so we'll worry about that later. They can go over there. All right, that's done all that. So while it looks daunting with all those different variations, initially at least you don't need to worry about it. You can just build it as it is. So let's move on to the next section. Front shock tower. We've gone from the rear to the front. That's okay. And this is in bag 3. As I've said it before, I actually haven't built all that many Yokomos before. This is pretty good. Not finding any big issues with anything. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's put the chassis over here. Bag 3's actually got the rear shock tower in as well. Here's the front shock tower. That's pretty meaty. I don't know, 6-7 mil. I don't have calipers handy. That's not going to break in a hurry. The hardware's not included there. It's over here. There's a big screws on here for the shock mount. They are M3x22. Which is in bag 8. I should be able to find these relatively easy because they're big screws, bag 8. Here we go. What I've done is I've left all the screws in their bag so I can easily find them. I started tipping them out and it wasn't a good idea. And 3x22, just checking if that's the correct one. Alright, and that's in the middle position. Again, that's sort of a default position for anything. You just, a nice starting point. I don't tend to experiment a whole lot with shock positions. It's something I just can't be bothered doing anymore. I just go with what the car offers, but having driven the RO, which was a fantastic budget car, I think we ended up leaving everything in standard position anyway, so that's not a big issue. Okay, we've got a 3x7 washer which needs to go on there. 3x7 washer is in bag 16. I'm actually warming to the way that Yokomo have done this. I'm sort of used to having all the bits of hardware for each step included in each bag. That's what most manufacturers do. And I wasn't sure about this, and I know speaking to Brett, he was the same, but it's actually okay. It's just a different way of doing it, and it seems to work all right. Got a washer there, another one here. And it's an M3 nut. And I think the M3 nuts are actually included in bag 3. We'll open that up and pull them out. Oh, tiny little nuts, and I've got big fat fingers. Okay. Just going to use 9 steps hobby knife. Just put a tiny bit of thread lock here. Some poor person will go to use this later and end up with thread lock all over what they're doing. It'll probably be me because I'll forget. Now, let's just... I have to remember to keep my hands here where you guys can see them. Otherwise, it's just off camera and it's not working. Screw this all the way on. I'm not sure whether this, because this is such a long thread, I may not be able to use the nut driver all the way. Let's see. Oh, it's tantalisingly close, but doesn't quite go all the way. It's bottoming out just there, right at the very edge. Maybe the trusty Tamiya tool will, yes. There we go. Okay. They're done. That's that section there done. Now, here's a good time to note that I've got this wrong. Entirely my fault. Luckily, it's an easy one to fix. I didn't note there's a countersinking on the front of this. Here's the countersinking. I've got these screws the wrong way around. So, you get to see me undo this. and fix it up. Gee, I already can't undo it. The thread lock's really, that's better. Bottom line is, doesn't matter how many kits you build, sometimes you're just not paying attention to as much as you should. And mistakes like that happen. I don't mind. We'll just turn that around, put it back on again. And maybe with me doing that and getting it wrong, it might be good for you. Because you'll go, yep, Tony got that wrong. I'm not going to get that wrong. He's an idiot. And you could well be right. So we'll just turn these around. Luckily, no one else is in the studio with me. So they'll never know until they look at the video. Turn that one around as well. Double check to make sure I've got the positioning right. We'll spin that up. I would normally use power tools for screws and stuff. I'm not here, and it's probably better off for it. Okay, front shock tower. Sitting there, that's the correct spot. These are all countersunk screws, M3 by 10. M3 by 10. Countersunk is in bag 2. There's 4 of these. Now, this is the bit where I would normally be using a power screwdriver, because once you've done a lot of these, your hand gets a little bit tired. I always just put them maybe halfway in to start with, make sure everything's lined up correctly, and all the screws are centered in the shock tower hole and in the shock tower mount. So we're right here, double checking, yep, that's all good. This is a solid shock tower. You are not going to be breaking this. If you do break it, then you're going to be breaking a lot of other bits as well. Again, make sure you don't do it too tight. Just until you feel it bottom out, that's about right. It's so easy to be tempted to really wrench on it, and it just doesn't help. And it's just not necessary. We'll get this one done. And now my hand's sore, so you'll see me change hands. And more importantly, I've been talking for half an hour, so now I'm thirsty. I recommend chocolate milk. I know lots of other, I don't drink, so no beer during my my builds. Okay, that's good. Front shock tower done. The manual now says rear shock tower. Again, pull this up here. Not, oh, maybe a mil less than the front. It's the rear shock tower, and the rear wing mounts come off this. Well, I think that could be the waterfall. I'll move that out of the way. The rear wing mounts are in a separate bag. I remember seeing them before when I was desperately searching for the rear bumper. Haha. Rear wing mounts. I'll snip these off. Lots of little bits here. And the wing buttons. Okay, that's all those bits. It looks like the front bumper. We don't need that for a while. Okay, now, I'm not going to fall into the same trap as last time, but there's no countersinking on this one, so it doesn't matter which way it is. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, the wing mounts go in with M3x12s, which is in bag 3. Oh, there's actually different size ones in bag 3. Be needing to check that, make sure we get the right ones. 3x12. Oh, M3x12 button head, that's a different one. Bag 7. That's better. These are all the same. Where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are the holes. I'm just going to put 2 in for now. These are the lower holes in the shock tower. Now, just screw it in a couple. Same again. Now there's probably people yelling at me now, oh, you shouldn't do it like that. Yeah, well, this is how I do it. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Everyone's got their own way of doing it. I've built hundreds of kits over the nearly 40 years that I've been racing, so I've managed to finish most races. So I've got to be doing something right. The important thing to remember is to enjoy your build. Don't, oh, I've got to get this done. No, enjoy putting it together. Because certainly for me, the actual build is more important than almost anything. It's slightly different here because I'm doing it on camera. You're seeing all the mistakes I'm making, which so far has been quite a lot. But I'm still enjoying it. One side done. Bottom hole again. And a couple of threads there. And now a couple again. And just alternate side to side. I know it's not riveting viewing watching me do this, but depends how bored you are. You go, gee, I watched Tony put wing mounts onto a rear shock tower today. It was exciting. I don't think it was. But these are nice and solid too. I remember the early days when the wings were mounted on wing wires, and every race you'd have to readjust the thing because you'd crashed and the wing was sitting like this or like that. Even back then I used to think this is a horrible way of doing it. And now with all the re-reads, they've gone back to doing that. And I go, oh, I remember that. All right, we've done here. That's on there. Now, the actual upper shock mount screws are M3 by 22s with a washer. M3 by 22, we've had that one before, bag 8. There we go. Doesn't hurt every now and then just to check on the side, make sure you've got the right one. And the washer is a 3 by 7, which I think is bag 16. Yes, it is. That's really sad when I remember what bag it's in. 1, 2, that's good. Now, important to note, there's a multitude of positions available. It looks like about 5 or 6. We're going to go once again with the default position, which is noted here on the instructions, and it's the bottommost position. Checking, yes, that's correct. Oops, forgot to put the washer on. You're getting to see me make a lot of mistakes today. Probably should have had more sleep last night. That's there. That's there. We're going to put them on. And the screw will be the M3 nuts, which we've got over here. 1, 2. Again, get out the 9 steps hobby knife with just that. We'll just put a little bit of thread lock on here. Some people would say that this is overkill, but I basically like to put thread lock in any metal to metal connection. It's just that little bit of insurance just to make sure. Alright, screw it on a little bit to make sure it doesn't come out. Or come off. Okay. Screw this up. Both done now. All right, that's done. That's all this section done. Now we've got the sway bar holder and the base mount, which are over here. There's the base mount and the sway bar holder. You might have noted that there's a couple of parts here which are on the top of the wing mount. I'm going to leave them off for the moment because I'll put them on when we're actually mounting the rear wing, so I'll leave them at the moment. Got that. Once again, these parts can look a little bit confusing, so it pays to just spend a little bit of time making, yeah, that's the orientation of that. And this is the correct orientation of this. We're putting the sway bar holder on, but no sway bar at the moment. These are M3 by 8 button head screw. Bag 5. Ooh, I'm gonna have to put this down because I haven't actually opened bag 5 yet. One, two, bag 5 back over there. I'm going to do this up, but I know we're going to have to undo it a little bit later when we put the sway bar in. So I'll do it up, but not all the way, because it's not terribly critical. Okay, that's done. Whoa, doesn't want to come out. All right, so we've got all those bits done. That's all this page sorted. I'll put the wing mount bits back in bag 3. Helps to do that just because, to be honest, by the next time I'm doing the next lot of assembly on this will probably be in a few days' time, because it's not all done on one day, and I'll have forgotten most of what I put together. So helps to have that reference. That isn't necessary right now. Yes, it is. Rear upper arm mount assembly. We're still on bag 3. Oh, I put all this back in here. I should not have. Okay. There's one more bit we need to get out, which is this one. Won't need that sprue again. We'll finish this off. Again, check the orientation to make sure that's correct. Big ball studs. Double check orientation, and now these go in. Oh, see. Again, the temptation is to use a electric screwdriver here, because there's a lot of threads to do, but certainly the Aromax electric screwdriver is excellent for things like this. Just a little bit of cross promotion there. These are 3mm spacers. Double check that. Even though I like to say that I double check things, a lot of the time I don't. And I fall foul of it quite often because of that. It's so easy to just rattle along and assume that you know what you're doing, because I've done this 100 times before. But I still make mistakes. As you've already seen in this video, I've made quite a number of mistakes. So do as I say, not do as I do. So that's good. Is the assembly that we just had before with the sway bar, and this fits in there, and that's not currently screwed in or anything, it just fits there for the moment. That will be held later by some other parts. Alright, we've got to this stage. Today we've got the rear arms on, front shock tower, rear shock tower, and other components. I think we're going to leave it there, because we move into the diff and gearbox next, and I think that needs to be treated a bit as an entity of its own. And if I start on that now, it's probably going to take me an hour just to do that, and you've already had enough of me for today, I think. So session 2 on the Yokomo SO2.0 2WD, going together nicely, and you've seen me get it wrong a number of times. Nothing better than that. I'm Tony from Hearns. Look forward to seeing you next time.